Welcome to the Top Shelf, my Criterion DVD review series. This is episode 54. Thank you for hanging in this long. We're coming up on the end of my collection here. As you can see, it looks pretty flat. Today we'll be talking about Akira Kurosawa's No Regrets for Our Youth, which is one of his early post-war films. My name is Ernest Whiteman III. I'm a Northern Arapaho filmmaker, artist, writer, and media educator. And I got into media education mainly by accident. As a filmmaker, unless you're producing things yourself, jobs are few and far between where you can actually exhibit your knowledge on film creatively. And at one point I was asked to take over a film course, not a film course, but a communications course at the University of Wisconsin-Parkside in Kenosha, Wisconsin. A friend of mine was leaving the job and recommended me, and I jumped at the chance because the name of the course was Native Americans in Media, and it examines how natives have been represented in films. And that's a main main topic that I'm always interested in. Being Native American myself, being a filmmaker myself, I'm always interested in how Native Americans are portrayed. Is it a form of self-representation in first voice, or is it someone just using cultural motifs and information to sort of assume authority over Native culture? So those are the things that I'm really interested in, and I've noticed that Criterion Collection has no films by Native American directors, and I do my best to call them out on that. But apropos of all of that, today we're going to talk about one film that I've really fallen in love with. And it is from their Eclipse collection. This comes in a box set called Post-War Kurosawa. Includes such films as his The Idiot, which is an adaptation of Dostoevsky, No Regrets for Our Youth, and I forget what the other two are. But this stars Takeshi Shimura in a small role where he plays an absolute villain. And it shows you the range that Shimura had. And the great Setsuko Hara in probably one of her best roles. Everybody sort of talks about the sweetness and pureness of her Noriko roles with Ozu. But to see her in this is just a powerhouse of a performance where she is the spoiled, solicited daughter that moves into this hardened, pro-democratic, empowered woman at the end. It's about these three people you see on the cover. One is a pro-democracy student. The other sort of just goes along with anything. And then caught between them in this love triangle is Setsuko Hara. And her father is the guy that sort of inspires to do the pro-democracy movements. And this was made after World War II, but it depicts a time before World War II when Japan was falling into the imperialism of government and restricting both democracy and free speech. And so this is sort of Kurosawa's ideologies coming to fore, and where his great humanity starts to show. And it's one of my favorite films. I discovered it by, after discovering Setsuko Hara in Ozu's work. The first thing I think I saw her in was Tokyo Story, and as many people do, just fell in love with her. She's one of my great screen crushes. Went out and sought other films with her. I discovered she was in a film version of the 47 Ronin, that she did early propagandic work as a youth, which sort of people sort of call her out on, which is rightly so. But when I saw she did a film with Kurosawa, not only that, but she did two films with Kurosawa, which were two roles that were vastly different. And this one she plays somebody who has this great character growth through the film, and in the Idiot, she just plays this mean, jealous woman who also sort of has a character arc as well. So her acting range was incredible. So it is no mean feat that she became the biggest film actress in Japan at the time. And then she just quietly retired about the time of Ozu's death in '63, and she never made a film since. She disappeared from the public eye. so much of this caught everybody so much by surprise that the film industry in Japan really started, where they once adored her, really start to pile on, the mudslinging against her, which is unfortunate because it was her choice. She took things into her own hands, and I'll do. I think I'll add all of this information to a film I want to, or video I want to do on Tokyo Story. So I'll add all this to that too as well. But the stories about these three people as they go through the Second World War and post-war times. The tag-along guy eventually starts to work for the Japanese government, and the pro-democracy student actually continues his work underground, and he soon marries Setsuko Hara's character as they fall in love. And at the time during their marriage, at this middle point between the spoiled child and the hardened activist, she's just basically trying to fulfill her duties as a wife, trying to take care of him, keep his home life happy, sort of like an ignorance is bliss. Like she doesn't talk about what he's doing, but she just wants to be with him. And then when he's captured and killed, and she's thrown in prison herself, she's sort of like, it's very much the hero's journey as she's lowered into the underworld and she emerges as someone brand new. And it's a really great film, a lot of early Kurosawa touchstones. And again, this isn't from it is in the Criterion collection, but it's part of the Eclipse series. So I checked this out from the library many years ago, and would keep it all the allowable times you can renew it. I think, which is 7 weeks. So I had it for like 2.5 months, and which is cool because nobody else sort of like reserved it or anything. So I would return it, wait a couple of days to find it back on the shelf, grab it again, and check it out again, and then renew it for the next as many times as possible. This is how much I enjoyed this film. And I did that with a lot of Setsuko Hara films and Ozu films, as where I would just check them out from the library and keep them for as long as possible. Shows you what a fan I've become of hers. But I greatly recommend, if you can find this, you can buy the Eclipse series box set. That's number 7. Or you can find these individual online. Usually they're library copies, which is what this is. So I recommend it. It says Classic Kurosawa on the back. So, no regrets for our youth. There's no spine number. Eclipse series number 7. Next time we'll be talking about another Kurosawa film, the granddaddy of all Kurosawa films. We'll be talking about the 3-disc box set of 7 Samurai. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you next time.